Let's go back, go run. Yep, think we are good to go. Hey guys, today we are going to be looking into how to process large CSV file using Golang. That means we are also going to be talking about things like Go routines, workers, channels, and so on and so forth. So let's start by creating a folder and get things started. Well, we have a folder here already called a CSV, and as you can see, we have two CSV file here. We have one for 50,000 and the other one is 1.5 million rows. So let's just initiate our Golang project and we kick off from there. Yeah, so let's create a main.go file. Yeah. The next thing we're going to be doing is creating our main package. Let's start by just making sure everything is working well. Everything is working well. Like any other program, the first program is hello world. Okay, so let's run our code. Voila. Alright, the next thing we are going to be doing is creating few variables, and the first one is worker, and we're going to just make it 5. What is a worker? Worker is basically the total number of Go routines we are going to be using for this program. The next thing we are going to be doing is declare a weight group. So a weight group is just an instance that provides us the ability to access Go routine later in the program, but it makes sense we declare those variables right here. All right, the next thing we're going to be doing is creating a function that process our CSV. We are going to read the CSV. The first thing is read open CSV. I have, let's start with the 50k right here. As you can see, we have 50,000 records. So let's start with that. The file name is sales record 50k. CSV. Alright, let's check for errors. I'm going to be returning the error. Alright, return nil. So the next thing we're going to be doing is we are going to be reading our file. We've opened the CSV file, and the next thing is to read. So for us to read, we are going to create a variable called reader. It can be any name actually. So then call the CSV package, then new reader. So I'm going to add another package right here, but let me just explain the difference between this and what I'm about to add. New reader. Okay, so if we are to go with new reader actually read from a file directly, but in the case of buffer IO, it actually offers improved performance for large or high frequency reads, because it minimizes system calls by buffering chunks of data. So which is why we're going to be using that, as it will improve the performance of our read. So this thing we are going to be doing, we are going to do like a infinite loop, and we are going to declare a record and reader.read. Yeah. So the next thing we are going to do is check error. If error exists, let's just say break and if error does not exist, of course we are going to print the record. Now in this case, assuming we are not, assuming we have small files, small CSV file, we can just print out our record right here. Have our record printed out, and this should be the end of the video if only we have a small size of CSV, or we have just tiny row, maybe 100 or 200 or 500. That this will work fine. But then what in a case where we are processing about 50,000, 1 million, or even more, we need to employ a new strategy, which is what we're going to be doing in this video. And the strategy is called chunking. What that means is we are going to be creating a small segment of each of the file and storing it in a separate in a slice, and doing that repeatedly till we get to the end of the file. And this is more like the same concept with pagination, where you have the first page having like 100 records, and when you click on next you have another 100 records, more like a continuation of the first one. If you have like, maybe you have 1 million rows in your database and you display all the 1 millions, is either the browser crashes or your backend crashes as well. So it's more like the same concept with this. And to do that, we just need to create a chunk size first, and our chunk size right here will be 5,000. Since we have our CSV is 50,000, so our chunk size will be 5,000. This is just a number I choose randomly. So our chunk will be a slice of multi to the array, and then chunk size will be the maximum, the length. So what we're going to do here is we are going to add the chunk record to the chunk and check if the chunk equals the chunk size, meaning that this will keep on adding up, and when it gets to this maximum length, we need to write to another thing. We need to do something. We need to do something right here. Then we make the chunk new. What that means is the chunk will become empty when it gets to this size. Every time it gets to this size, it will become empty back. So what does that thing mean is, I totally forgot when we were instantiating variables the other time. We need to create a channel. Channel, let's just call it sales channel. This would be a buffered channel. So let's instantiate our variable right here, our process CSV, and let's pass this as a parameter, and then let's do this channel. So what we're going to be doing right here is sales churn, then write the chunk to channel. So right now our first chunk is stored in the channel. So what we're going to be doing here is this break, rather than just breaking out like that, we could check if the record is the last record or it has gotten to the end of the file. How do we do that? We can do this by checking if IO end of file. If it has gotten there, we can also say sales churn, then churn. So yeah, I think that is it for this function. Yep. All right, the next thing we are going to be doing is creating a function that returns the output from the channel. Here is where we determine what to do with the data. We can decide to create a seeder to the database, or write it to a file or other things. But for this video, we are just going to be writing it to a file, a text file. That means each of the chunk, I specify the chunk size right here, which is 5,000, and we specified a worker here, like workers. Then workers is more like equivalent to the number of Go routines that will be created, and each this means that we are going to be creating 10 files as well, and each of the files will have 5,000 rows in them. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just call this process sales record. This will accept worker ID, which is int with group sync with group. The next thing is sales channel, which is chan. Yeah. So the next thing we are going to be doing is we are going to be using we are going to be writing this. This means wait group dot done. And what does that mean? It basically means wait group will decrement the worker or counter by 1 when it finishes the job. Differ means that this will execute when the whole thing that I'm going to write afterwards is completed. It has executed. So let me buttress more on that. Wait group uses something called counter. I would say it's kind of related to the concept of worker here, where we specify the total number of Go routines to be used, something like that. And Go routines uses the counter to determine if all work is completed before proceeding with the other execution. So this simply means that this line simply means that Go routine will remove 1 from the counter. I would say remove 1 from the worker first when it's done. So basically that's it. So the next thing we are going to be doing is we are going to be looping through our sales channel and range. And the next thing we are going to be doing as well is this is for the channel. So let's just loop through our record. Let's just say field. Let's just say chunk, because this is actually the chunk record. So this is where we print our chunk. Yep. Range. I keep on forgetting range. Okay, so let's do this. Print f worker ID cannot type of worker ID. You know what? This is not hard. There is one of the functions I use mostly. I kind of forget that right now. I think it's print f. Yeah. Okay, so let's call we are still going to do more, but let's just make sure everything is working well. Let's test our code so far. So we have the next thing here is we have process sales channel. Okay, so now we're going to use a worker. So we have, this is like the work to be done, and we have things we read our CSV here, and we send it to the channel, and here we get the output right here. So for this, let's do for I, which is range workers. So yeah, we do this, and within this place, this block, we add 1. So what does that mean? This means that, as I've mentioned before about weight group, no, we mentioned done the last time. This one is add. Add means it's actually telling weight group to add weight and add more task. So if you look at this loop, we keep on adding more task until we get to the end of the number. So which is what we are doing right here. We just pass the ID here, which is the number. The next thing we are going to be doing here is we are going to write a Go routine that will execute our CSV and just close our channel here. Then wait. So this wait actually blocks the current Go routine until the counter or the worker hits 0. So I keep on referring to counter as workers here so that we can understand what's going on. But wait group actually uses counter. Under the hood, just to keep track of which job is done or which one until the counter gets to 0. That's when the program can actually proceed to other execution. So I think we can test right now. So for us to test, let's create a new let me just say terminal. So a space. Let me locate my folder. Oh, use a long journey. Okay, so we are here just to be sure that we're in the right file. Okay. All right. So let's say. Yes. Oops. Yeah. Let's look at what could be the problem. I think on line 20 we forgot to add the go keyword. So let's go back. Go run. Yep. I think we are good to go. So we have all our record right here. And the next thing we are going to do is we are going to write to the file. So how do we do that? We are just going to create a file right here. os.create. Let's just say workers ID worker ID dot txt. So we have the txt. Okay, I think we are good to go. Factor error. Missing. Okay, in bracket. Yeah. So differ f.close. So right here, I will just say. You can see f dot fmf print. fmf print. Yep. So we can do this. FFF print will collect the buffer, and then we'll be able to write this in the buffer. Okay, so I think that's it. Let's test. Before we continue, let's create a folder so we can be able to distinguish between the main and the output. Let's go back to the let's just write that right here, output. Let's go back to 4. Oh god, I was wrong. Yep. Okay, so that shows everything is working fine. We should have 10 records, 10 files here. Yep, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's open each one of them and let's go to the end of the file. We have 5,000. Let's go to the other one. We have 5,000. Let's go to the third one. We have 5,000. Let's go. Fourth one. 51. G. We have 5,000. Oh God! Oh, I keep on pressing wrong shortcut. That's one crazy thing about using terminal based editor. Yeah, so I think everything is working fine at this point. Yeah. The next thing we are going to be doing now is testing with the other CSV, which is a million record. I think it will take a long time for it to load. Okay, yeah. So as you can see, 1.5 million rows. So let's use the same strategy. All we just need to do is we just need to edit few stuff. So 1.5 million could be wrong if we want to have 100,000 in each file. That will be 100,000 in each file. That means we are going to be having 15 files. Okay, so let's say, what if we change it to 10,000? I think divided by 10,000, that'll be 150 files, and that's a lot. Let's make it 100,000. How many workers are going to have? Let's just have 15. So 15 times the worker will keep on working until the end of the stuff. I'm just trying to optimize here. Let's see, 100,000 times 15. Yeah, I think we're good. Let me just use that. Maybe I don't need to even have up to 15. I can decide to have 10. Worker group would do its thing. Yeah. So yeah, let's create another folder for this output so we can separate it. Let's say output 1. So let's call this output 1. And the other thing we can add to this program is just having the total time it takes. You can just say start time dot now and end yeah, so we can have time taken. So let's test again here for okay. So first let me remove the one that output to the standard output. Let me comment that one out. So let's do this. Yeah, 199 milliseconds. So let's go to the folder. You don't know what's going on. I think there is a. Oh, I didn't even remember to. But then. Okay, I increased it. Okay, so my best guess about what's going on here is the fact that I increase the chunk size to be 100,000 and we have 10 workers here. So 100,000, just one chunk is even more than the total file size. the file, the total rows rather. So that means normally this should just run once and that's the end. But for the fact that we have workers, we have 10 workers, the workers has to complete their job. I mean, we pay them to do that. So that's why we are having empty records. We only have one file that has, which is line 5, right? This is also empty, this is also empty, this is also empty, this is also empty. So that's the reason. So what we're going to be doing now is we are going to be changing the file here. I totally forgot to do this, to sales. And I think that's all. And let's remove all this file. Oh my goodness, let me just use command to remove this. Yeah. Oh my god, that's wow. Okay, yeah, so the next thing you're going to be doing is just test. Okay, we have our file. Just to be sure again, we have our file. Yeah, sales, the new one. So 4 Golang. Yep, this take about 2 seconds, man. That's something. So we might not get the we might not get all the records. Why? Because we have 10 workers. If you multiply 10 times this is a million. So that means we have to be 15. This is crazy. This is crazy. So if we go to the end, you see we have 100,000. Go to the end of the file, we have 100,000. Oh yeah, my bad. It kind of optimized itself to overrule my instruction, which is not bad. I mean, so some files has 2,000, some files 200,000. The Go routine just try to optimize the resources that is available, but we want everything to be no, not bad, but we want everything to be what is it called, 100,000. So that means we are going to specify 15 and this and that. So let's just repeat that. All right. Okay, so let's go back again. Yeah, we have 15 now. Yeah, so this should have 100,000. This should have the same thing. This should have the same thing. This should have 100. Should have 100. So that's it. I hope you're able to learn something from this video. If you do, please drop it in the comment section. Thank you very much.